Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name's Simon. I'm the Workday UK team manager at Focus on WD, and I'm joined today by Alexis Baker, a veteran of the Workday ecosystem. So Alexis, thanks for joining us. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Thanks, Simon, and thanks for inviting me to be here. Hi everyone, I'm Alexis. I've been working in HR systems, people analytics for about coming up to 20 years now, which hopefully gives me the veteran status. But really passionate now about people analytics. I'm the head of people analytics at Knight Frank, currently building up a new team. Just gone through my second Workday implementation there, but really like to maximise how, as a function, we can make the most of Workday as a product, use the variety of tools it gives us. Yeah, really happy to join and share today.
Thanks a lot, Alexis, and it's really good to have you here. So I guess the first question to kick this off is, a lot of people don't know what it is. So what is people analytics within Workday?
So people analytics as a function is quite broad. A key part of what we do is really unearthing the insights from data to drive forward company strategies, to really bring that planning in, and allow the people function to have a seat at the table with our partners in finance, but also to really move to make decisions based on what is right for the company, the firm that they are working in. Now, Workday gives us so many tools that we can use to do this. You've got the out-of-the-box reporting. One of the things we always get drawn into is, can we provide a headcount report, or can we do some of the more basic things? Workday gives all of that out of the box. So that really helps us to focus on more of the value add we can bring to the firm. But then they've got tools like discovery boards, which are really fun to play with. We have Prism as an external database, so we can do more complex processing there. We also have Peakon, which I absolutely love as a tool. One of the key pieces of data and information we use is, what are our people telling us? What's really driving them to engage with the work they do every day? How are they feeling about the firm that they're working in? And where do they see that there's areas we could improve and help to get the most of our people and have them have a better experience in their working lives? And Peakon really unearths that information that we can use, as well as the wealth of people data within Workday. Also, we get a bit confused sometimes with the people analytics module and the people analytics function. Workday do have an AI tool as well that will do a lot of the data mining and engineering for companies without them necessarily having to have specialists in as well. And it will give you the key bits of text to sort of say, hey, keep an eye on this area, attrition's going up, and it looks like it's being caused by this. So there's a wealth of tools that Workday can offer us, and Workday is one of the tools we use to really help us unearth the insights around our people around the firm.
Wow. So there's a lot of complexity in
this
area. There's a lot going on. I mean, from your experience, having been through 2 implementations, why should a company really invest in people analytics within Workday? What's the benefit to them?
So the biggest thing is the value add that people analytics can bring. So it's, as I mentioned, our main goal and our main aim is to improve the experience of every employee within a firm. We really want them to come to work feeling able to be themselves, feeling able to bring their best selves to the office every day, or to their home office, or wherever they're working. We want them to feel supported, to feel really pleased and proud of the firm and the company that they work for. So it's, how can we make those steps towards that? With a people analytics function, you get beyond the we think, we feel, the latest HR buzzwords. We know HR loves a buzzword, be it the latest ones around quiet quitting, quiet firing. We had the great resignation. These things are happening around us, but are they happening within our firm? And what do we need to be doing to look at that? So we're driving that insight. And I was doing some data literacy training just yesterday with some of our teams. And it was highlighting how much bias we have as individuals and how much leaders will read things in the press or they'll see things and think, this actually relates to me. This is something I'm concerned about where I work. But actually, is it? And by using the data that we have, that we're collecting on a day-to-day basis, we can cut through all of that. And we can say, yep, this is a problem, or yes, this is something we may want to look at in this specific area, but it's not impacting everyone, or it's not something for us for the moment, but we can also predict to the future and say, but this might come up in a few years. Also, we're really good at going in front of finance directors, CFOs, teams like that, and being able to provide what an initiative, what a strategy for a people function or for people wider in the firm, be it outside of HR. What will be the return on investment? What are we looking at? How are we tracking against that? So we're bringing that financial aspect to it as well. So we can make a little bit more of a case and help support the way people teams are moving and going into the future.
That's really interesting. And it kind of sounds like as well that with all people see things going on in the economy, in the media and things like that. And I guess with the investment in people analytics, it stops businesses making knee-jerk reactions based on the noise that they're hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talking of a buzzword, AI, it's the word on everybody's lips right now. It seems to be everywhere, and it seems to be a bit of a mystery to most people. Okay, so within how is AI changing the landscape of Workday people analytics? Because I know it's something that's being invested in and looked at heavily across the ecosystem right now.
Yeah, and it really is. Now, one thing that does give me a lot of comfort with the AI offerings within Workday, and one of the key things that we look for as a people analytics team is that we have governance around anything we do. We are keeping our people's data safe, secure. It's not going out into the ecosystem. And one of the ways AI will work is it's all a lot around data sharing. It's sharing your key trends, and then getting results from other companies that you can compare that data to. AI is built on a good, solid data foundation. Within the Workday offering, you know you've got that security blanket of Workday being around it, and you know it will only be shared in the right way. And have many chats with their data governance teams and probed and asked lots of questions and have felt very comfortable and satisfied with where that's going. But with that comes, we need to design AI strategies. We need to design AI plans for our HR functions. And a lot of it is upskilling our teams as well. AI is a big unknown. And for a lot of people, even the word data sounds terrifying, and they'll start coming up with the excuses that, hey, I'm data illiterate, I can't do this. By the way, never believe that. Everyone uses data more than they think. But it just allows us to teach, train, get people comfortable, but make sure we're putting the right security net around it. For people analytics as a function, it's where I get really excited. And this may not do me in great stead, but I feel like the days of dashboard are quite quickly dying out. I've experienced a lot in my career, managers, leaders end up with what we would call dashboard fatigue. They've got dashboards over here to go to for finance, dashboards somewhere else for marketing, dashboards for their people data. They end up not knowing where to look, and quite often they don't know how to interpret it and get the real meaning and understanding from it. AI is going to surface that for us. This is the future we're looking at, not saying it's here now, but coming down the line is going to be a future where you can go into your Workday assistant and say, I'm a bit worried about this. And it's going to give you some sentences around, your data is telling you, yes, you might want to focus on a drop in engagement in this area. It's being driven by decreases in work-life balance. And when you look at people's time cards and time entries, they are working a lot of overtime. And this could lead to problems with well-being and also problems with people leaving. So it's just going to give it to you in a sentence format with a few key figures. If you want a graph, you can ask it to produce the graph for you to go into a presentation. But it's going to take away leaders having to hunt out, search, go through masses of charts, dashboards, put filters on. It's just going to hone in on what they need to do their day-to-day jobs and roles. And for me, that's massively exciting.
Basically, what you're saying, kind of, it's going to condense and make it more sniper-like in terms of the data that you are actually asking for, rather than us trusting you to look through it and hopefully dig out what we need you to know. We're going to show it to you easily and quickly, so you can use exactly what you want from the data sets you're looking at.
Exactly. It's all going to be at your fingertips right there. And you're just going to be able to ask the questions that you have.
That sounds really, really good. And quite easily, you've just said a lot about why people should invest in this area. But we were talking about this the other day, and I found a lot of the time this is an area that kind of in the ecosystem across a number of customers kind of gets forgotten about, or it happens when something happens. So when is the best time in a company's Workday journey to invest in this area?
Soon as you can. As soon as you can. As soon as you can get people with our skills in, I would say the better. So where I am at Knight Frank, I've been brought in right at the beginning of the Workday journey. And what that's really allowed us to do is to focus on the quality of the data we're putting into Workday up front. We can only do our jobs and do our roles if we've got good quality data in the system. Workday does help with that, with business processes, ways of working, and you are joining a giant ecosystem of tons of data. But by having us in upfront, as you're doing those data loads, as you're doing your data migration, you have a really specialist team in working through that, cleansing it, looking at where you might have any gaps between what you already have existing and what you're going to be using in Workday. And we're here to help. We can coach, we can train on new concepts. So it really helps with that whole journey and that whole transition. Additionally, we will, as a function, we're quite innovative and we're very curious. So we're often looking at where would we want to take Workday in the next 3 years, the next 5 years, even the next 10 years. And we can help set you up for success on that longer term roadmap and journey by getting those solid foundations, by laying the groundwork, and in guiding and training the business in what is quite often new ways of working, and having a team that's there to facilitate that and to help guide the business in this new way of working, and having access to so much more than they've had potentially with old legacy systems. It just really helps embed and make the product land well at the time of implementation, and also sets it up with a foundation to grow as it goes forward. So Get us in as soon as you can in your Workday journey. We're helpful, we're useful. But also we can then be there from day one to start giving you that value add. Workday is not a cheap system to implement. I don't think anyone would ever say that.
No,
And
definitely not.
one of the key benefits you get from it is instant real-time analysis, reports, trends, and it's there from day one. So by having us there straight away, you're already starting to get a return of investment.
It sounds like with the early investment, you really speed up that self-sufficiency and probably adoption across the business as well, because people are more involved with it because they know how to be more involved with it. They can. The system isn't just this thing that they're not a part of. They're with the people analytics side and getting underneath the skin of it and getting that data right. The people who are using the system can actually be part of the journey earlier.
Yeah, and we're here to improve culture and make cultural changes within organisations. So we are very much hand-holding the business. We're designing it for ease of use. And actually, it's been a real pleasure at Night Frank, because we've just gone live with our first performance review cycle. And the amount of feedback we're getting from around the business of how simple, how easy it is to do your year-end reviews, analyse against your KPIs, your competencies, all of that stuff, all in one system and have it right there. They have found it so easy and so simple. But by having us guiding on behaviours, how people engage with systems upfront to help with that design and look at how do you launch it, what functionality do you turn on, how is that going to evolve in the user experience as they get more used to Workday. It helps to bring our people on the journey as well.
So, Alexis, we talked about the investment in people analytics, the future of people analytics with AI, but something I've noticed as a recruiter in this market, a lot of the time, people analytics and reporting, they kind of fall into the same space a lot of the time. You know, we get a lot of roles that are very dual-hatted, and a lot of companies, they don't differentiate the two. Okay, what's the difference?
Great question, and I get this one a lot. But there is quite a difference. Reporting is just one arm of what we do. That's how, as a people analytics function, we get to grips with the data. We will, at the moment, while we're waiting for the technology to advance, we'll be building dashboards that people can use to self-serve to find out the information, the data, unearth the insights from their teams. But it's not all that a people analytics team does. And this is always one of the first things when I go into an organisation, I will lay out and I will build into the strategy. Reporting is just one arm of what we do as a people analytics function. So what we're doing is we're giving you safety and security with your data governance, as mentioned. Security models are a key one. Do the right people have access to the data that they need? And are we protecting the data that we need to protect and keeping that safe and secure? And Workday does give us a lot of options to do that. Very flexible in its security model. Complex, but flexible. We're going to dive into the analysis. So we do an employee listening survey. We'll get the feedback on board. But we won't just say to our leaders in the firm, here's your dashboard, off you go. We'll go into it ourselves. We'll read through. One of the last ones I did, read through 46,000 comments. We'll go through all of those on your behalf, gather the key trends, the key themes. We'll really delve into the information. We'll look at it by sector. We'll look at it by various people characteristics. We'll look at it in terms of people that have left since we did it, through the entire employee life cycle, and really draw on what action do we need to take. So it's not just this is what came out lowest. It's what is the nuance, and then how can we bring about that change? But we're also looking at pulling together data from across the firm. If you have an HR reporting and MI team, that's where I started my career years ago. We would focus purely and mostly on just the data from HCM, a little on recruitment, a little from performance. What a people analytics team will do is say, marketing, we'd love to have some of your info. We'd like to layer on what our clients are thinking and feeling. What is it they're looking for? And do we have those skills within house to meet that demand and keep with that demand how it moves in the future? Finance, can you bring us all of your data? What are we earning? Where are we seeing trends? What are our biggest costs within the firm? And how can we align and support with that moving forward? And we will bring in data from across the entire firm, pull it together to get that full rounded picture across the board, rather than it being here's a headcount report or here's an attrition report. So there is a difference. And I would also warn people, if you're going to bring on a people analytics team, firstly, and this is a quote from someone, and I am going to regret not remembering who it is, but apologies if anyone watches this and I've stolen this quote. But bringing on a people analytics team means it's time to get comfortable with being uncomfortable with your data. We won't massage your figures. We won't change them. We'll use them to tell you the as is. It's vital that if we are listening, if we are talking, if we are gathering data and we're doing this analysis, that we actually act on it.
Tell you what, first thing is, I love that quote, and if no one puts their hand up and claims it, I'd copyright that one. It's a really good one. You know, that being getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, but that's what data does, doesn't it? It doesn't lie. You can ignore it if you want to, but it's not going anywhere. That's the thing, isn't it? If you want to ignore it, you can do, but the data is the data, and if you ignore it, eventually something's going to happen without you being in control of when or what that is.
Yeah, it's just going to keep going in the same continued trend and will turn into something much bigger that you'll have to confront at some point. And why not do it when you can make small incremental changes rather than at a point where you have to make big sweeping changes to change the course?
No, I love that. So here's a question. You've been on that journey as you started in reporting and analytics, and you've gone on that journey, right? And you've had a successful career in it. So you work for some great companies. How would you recommend that any company with Workday reporting, Workday people analytics who invested in this function, how do they not just attract the right people to their business, but how do they keep them?
One of the biggest things, if we start with attraction, be upfront, be honest about where you are in your journey. From having quite a good network of various people analytics leaders, we all have different skill sets that we bring. We all have different specialisms and we all have different passions. So if you're honest and upfront and you say, we're at the beginning of our journey, our data's a mess, and we want to start with cleaning that up and then going through to get to this point of analysis, people know what they're coming in for. If you're bringing in someone whose focus is building complex AI, data engineering models to give really complex results at the end of it, and you bring them in at the start of the journey, they're probably going to get frustrated quite quickly. There's people a bit more like myself. I love taking it from the beginning, seeing it all the way through and making things really successful at the final outcome and building a team that mixes the skills gap. So by being honest in your job advert that this is where we are in our journey and this is what we're looking to do, you're going to attract the right candidates that will engage with where you are and what you want to do. With that, to retain those people, one of the key things is making sure there is that career progression within your company and within your firm. We are a small team, generally. They recommend one people analytics analyst per 1,500, 2,000 headcount would be the ideal. Quite often we are quite small teams of 3, 4, 5 people. So it's how do you keep those people progressing with their careers in-house? Some want to move laterally, have those open conversations about how do you want to move, how do you want to progress. So I've had people in my team move from people analytics, really worked hard, got some great skills, and then moved across to finance because they want to combine both skill sets as a real kind of double threat going forward. But also, if you can show people that, hey, you're coming in at this position, we're going to train, we're going to develop, we're going to get you involved in more and more exciting projects as your personal journey grows. And also you have that career path for them to move up as well. Have the open conversations with your teams. How do you want to grow? How do you want to develop? And then make sure you've got that ability to build that progression upwards, sideways, diagonally, but give your teams that support. And we're excited about new tech all the time. We're always looking to the future. Let us explore, let us play around and see what we can bring in that will be of real help to you as a firm.
Because I see a lot in the reporting analytics world, particularly in Workday, that it's not just Workday that people play with. There's all these other tools, because sometimes it's just not. I've heard it before where it's like, do you know what? These reports we could build in Power BI rather than Workday actually will suit us better for this. It doesn't take anything away from what we've invested in Workday, but this is just going to add to it. But interestingly, what you just said about the attracting people, it's something that I guess we've kind of thought about, but it hasn't really been articulated to the point where I can articulate it. Reporting and analytics fundamentally is all about finding out the facts, right? And if you're hiring someone into a reporting analytics team, telling them something, and those aren't the facts, and they've come in at the wrong stage, it's just a non-starter.
Yeah, and I've seen it happen 100 times with so many people I know in the industry. They'll move on from one job and they'll go to another. They've laid out their skill set, the complexity in which they work with. They might be an expert in Visio or one model. There's all these tools as well as Workday, as well as Power BI. You'll get your Power BI specialists. You'll get your data engineer specialists. They will come in wanting to expand and build on their skill set and work in a certain way. But they will turn around within 3, 4, 5, 6 months and say, actually, I came in here to build data pipelines out of Workday to put into Power BI, to put into those tools, or I'm a specialist in this tool or this way of working. And now you've brought me in and you want me to cleanse data to go into Workday. They will turn around and go within 4 or 5 months. Whereas you will get others who will want to keep through that journey. And I'm not saying either way is the right way, but every firm is at a different place in its growth, its development, and it's really making sure you're matching the skills that you are looking for, the investment you're looking to put into it in the future, along with the skills of the individual and where they want to take their career as well.
Going a little bit off on this topic, okay, What if someone's recently invested in people analytics reporting, but they're new to Workday and they don't know the type of person they need? If you were in that position, but you needed someone, but you didn't know exactly what it was, how would you go about recruiting that person?
That's why I say be honest, because you will get people that really love coming in. They want to help you shape and mold. They want to guide your strategy within people analytics. They'll come in, they'll learn your business, they'll learn your company, and they will specialize in taking you from starting out your journey all the way through and be with you for 10, 15 years, taking you along that journey and really seeing it to fruition. If you are honest, you're going to attract those people. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with saying, we're fresh into this. We've heard or we've seen articles on LinkedIn about how much people analytics can bring us, but we don't know where to start. There's many of us, and I would include myself in it, that this is my specialism. I've always gone in to every company I've gone into. Quite often they didn't even have an HR systems team. Back in the day when things weren't as developed as they are now. But we would go in and we would set everything up from the ground up. We'd build the teams and we'd have a look. We'd pick at, I don't believe in doing things in isolation. So with what data we can use, we'll use that to say, okay, this is where we need to go and expand and build as we move and progress through the journey. If you say that's where you are, you're going to attract the right candidate that can help you through that.
Superb. So I guess, Alexis, look, we could talk about this forever and a day, right? Because this is exactly what you do, and this is as I say, you're a veteran of this ecosystem. So if you were going to give everyone else top three tips for attracting and building a successful Workday reporting and people analytics function within their business, what are your top three tips there?
Top three tips: focus on your skills when you're bringing them in. Align the skills with where you are as a business, but make sure your team has varied skills. You don't want everyone coming in that can do exactly the same thing. You want to build up a team that has a mixture and they can learn from each other as well. As I said, key takeaway, become comfortable with being uncomfortable with your data. It's going to be key. You're going to see things in there that you're not happy with, you don't like, but that's really going to help you and stop it becoming a bigger problem down the line. And be ready to take action on the findings. Whatever you see, whatever you do, act on it. We may listen, we may want to see these things, but if we're not going to take action, there's not so much of a need of a people analytics team. We need to understand and move things forward for the firm and the business and all the employees.
Well, Alexis, really appreciate all your time today, and you've given us some amazing things to think about. This has been another episode of Interviewing the Experts with Alexis Baker. Looking forward to hearing people's thoughts on this. Thank you so much, Alexis. Really appreciated it.
Thank you for having me. Been a pleasure.